Hello, hello. How is everybody doing? We are on week 3 of the podcast. Hope you're all well. This is week 3. Hope you've all enjoyed listening so far. We've been really enjoying the process and chatting away to you guys. Last time we got stuck into our move from Oxford Festival to running our own and finding that site and the bits and pieces around that, and some of the teething problems on the day with the bar and getting people on site and all that sort of thing. So we'll carry on that story a little bit. We will give you a little update on Lingfield and what we've been up to there. And we will also just give you some general life updates, what we've been up to as well, Lukey. How about that?
That sounds good to me, mate. Absolutely. So yes, good to see you again. I quite enjoyed doing this, to be honest, mate. It's been quite good. And don't be vain, but I've been listening back at it and it's not shit. So that's good. So that's the feedback the feedback we've had is it's not shit. So that's good. That is really good.
I've really enjoyed doing it actually so far. And something interesting that came about last week, which we've obviously been chatting about, is we had a TikTok live agency reach out to us, which is quite exciting. TikTok's obviously, we're from the older generation slightly in terms of the music industry.
Speak for yourself.
As the Greys will tell you across both screens. But we've had a TikTok live agency reach out, which is quite exciting, to talk about bringing this format over to TikTok. I've always been a bit wary of the TikTok live stuff because we're not dancers. We're not shout down the mic type people. We enjoy having a chat in this format and talking about all aspects of the music industry and what we're up to. But their thinking was that actually there is a market on there for this sort of thing, and that actually this could translate quite well to the TikTok live platform. And it would create more of an interactive vibe. So obviously at the moment, it's just me and Lukey, me and you, sir, and we will be getting some guests on very, very soon. We're lining up some really exciting guests, actually. And that interactive element could be quite interesting. So we're going to give that a go at some point. So we'll update you on that.
Well, that's most things, mate, isn't it? I think if someone speaks to us about certain things, we've always got the attitude, well, let's have a punt and see how it goes and work it out as we go along. I think that's probably the best attitude to have in life as well, isn't it?
I think that's how we've always functioned, isn't it? I've never really known what I'm doing.
That's not true. It's an informed guess. I mean, like we talked around the festivals, you weren't starting from scratch. You're very good organised. You're a very good negotiator. You're used to working that environment. So it wasn't just like, and then that mixed with your professional into the music business stuff. It's informed guests. But I think what I'm saying is I think we're flexible to just see how it goes. With an informed, there'll be some things we do turn down, but in general, we make an informed decision. And then if we don't know all the information, that's not a problem. We have a stab.
Yeah. I like trying things. And if something excites me or I think there's something there, we'll always give things a go. And I think that's really important in the events world and the DJ world as well, and the producer world. I see a lot of people from events to DJing and to making music who play it very, very, very safe. Even in terms of making music, they'll make 100 songs and sit on every single one for months and months and months and won't do anything with them. And they'll, do you want to start your own event? Maybe. Oh, do you want to go and try and DJ at that place? Maybe. And I very much think, unless you try things and you go out your comfort zone, and if you made a record, send it out to people, even if it's your mates, send it out to 10 mates and see what they think. Put it on SoundCloud, free download, see what people think. The worst that can happen is it bombs. And then what? Okay, you go again.
You got to get used to that though, wouldn't you? You got used to bombing, you got to get used to people saying no. Because you think it's good enough. Well, we spoke to Huxley, we both for some I had a conversation. When do you know your track is good enough before you send it out? He said, I don't.
No.
And he's had massive hits and toured the world. So if he doesn't know, we ain't going to know.
No, and you've probably been the same. Some of my most successful tracks and mine and Greg's most successful tracks have been tracks that we've sent out and gone, not sure about that one, but let's punt it out and see how it goes.
Massive Organ, my biggest track to date, Massive Organ, it took me about an hour to make. Stuck it out. I stuck it to the desk. What do you think? He said, yeah, no, we'll have that. It was madness. Absolute madness. And then the other ones he spent bloody hours on and days on. And he just like, nah, it just don't work. There's something about that.
Yeah, same. We've had a couple of tracks like that. Dizzy, our one that went out just before Christmas, well, not before, about October time. That was one that me and Greg went, oh, that could be a nice little edit. Really, like the vocal has been used before and we'd obviously tweaked it slightly, but sent it to Tool Room and they picked it up straight away. And we sort of went,
yeah, that's a great track.
Okay. But we probably had about 8 to 10 tracks ready at that time, and the ones that we thought would get picked up, that was probably low end of that list. We loved the track, but we thought it would end up on SoundCloud as an edit. So
yeah,
that was
the way, isn't it?
just a a real
Yeah.
surprise. So what's new in life,
Well, I think
Lukey?
what's new in life? We just talked about this quickly before recording. So the day job stuff is all secured. So I'll be less grumpy this week, which is good.
Well
Still
done.
doesn't mean it's less busy. Try to balance again. I think we talked about that. Balance it all. I'm just
Yep.
trying to do that currently. And I've got loads of tracks to. I've got a track out with DJ Dove currently. So he's
Oh, very
done like
nice. He's got an album coming out, right?
he's so he's an album. I'm on that album. So he asked me to do a collab with him. So we've done a track which is out this week and gets some nice support, which is good. Um, and I'm sitting on 3 or 4 quite good tunes, I think. So I just need to get them out really.
Nice.
Uh, so yeah, what about yourself? What about you? What about yourself? What about you and Greg?
So we've got a track coming out in a couple of weeks with the same label actually as Dizzy. So we are back on Strange Love, which is one
Yeah.
of Ballroom's imprints, which is run by Danny Reese, a good friend of ours. We're really excited to get that one out. That's out on the 10th of April. It's been getting some really nice early support. We've done some quite early promo on it compared to normal because it's obviously Miami Music Week this weekend. So we got that out to promo and mail outs last week just so it's sitting in the right hands pre-Miami Music Week. Had a nice little feature on Kiss last week from Mark Knight, obviously with the Toolroom link, so that got its first play on Kiss, and some other nice little radio play bits over the last week. So it's starting to the wheels are starting to turn a little bit on that one, and hopefully we'll
Good,
see
isn't
how
it?
it goes. Yeah, it's exciting. I
Really
love
good.
releasing new music, even though you never quite know and how they're going to go, but you know, the next one could be the big one. You never know.
Nah, I've got. I mean, talked about this a couple of episodes ago. I think as long as you enjoy the process, once it's done, you've done the master sent out, and yeah, you want to push it, but there's so many different factors involved. You just got to let it play out.
I think one thing over the last 6 months I've become really comfortable with is not getting too invested in that stress and that process of this song's got to be this song's got to do well. Like we put so much into it, bloody bloody blah. I'm very at peace now with as long as we follow our process and we market it right and we spend the money in the right places and send it out to the right people and just keep growing our mailing lists and growing our contacts. That's the best we can do, and we're putting it out with the right labels. Then that becomes it's getting into the right hands, you know. And if
Yeah,
some
that's
people will
it.
like it, some people don't. And I just really enjoy that process, like you say, of putting music out. I know you
Yeah,
touched on it last week of getting balance. We talked about balance and getting that right. And I think if you overstress and overcomplicate things, that's when you start really getting in your own head. And there's a lot of rejection in this industry. There's a lot of moments where you sort of think, put a lot of effort into that, whether it be an event, whether it be a release, and that it's very similar in the events world. I talk to people about elemental stuff, and they're like, "Oh, this is great, that's great." But I say what you don't see, and quite often no, and it happens to us, and it happens to everyone, is the nights where you put all the promo and you put the flyers out, and and the room doesn't quite fill as you expect it to.
or you play to a really full place, but no one dances all night.
Yeah, it's
We
exactly
had
that.
one, didn't we? We've had that one.
It's you can have some really odd moments where you sort of think, "Oh, this will go well. I booked this artist, I booked this venue, it's going to be really cool," and it just doesn't work out. And I think a lot of that comes down to finding your niche and finding your market as well, and finding the places where you know it's going to work for you, and you've actually got an audience there to keep building.
Yeah. Talking about stressing that, what about taking on from when we had the bar stress at Titsy and then talking about finishing the day with Titsy and it went really well. It was amazing. And then what happened afterwards and talking about moving to Lingfield. And then what we can do, I think at the end, have a chat about you because you're a lovely, interesting bloke.
Thanks. I've
So
heard,
Titsy,
I've heard a
so,
lot
so
worse.
I know, yeah, I've called you a lot worse as well. Um,
So
So,
Titsy, we obviously had the
yeah, so what
bar
happened?
issues, which we delved into last week, which very much settled down. I had a really interesting chat actually about bars last week at Lingfield. I had a meeting with the events manager at Lingfield Park, and we were walking around the spaces. And this ties, I've jumped ahead a bit, but this ties back to Titsy. And I was having a chat with him about bar spaces and where they want to put the bars, where they're going to put the food stalls and things like that. And I was telling him that we had a few issues with the bar at Titsy and that we got overrun at certain points. And he said they get the exact same thing in terms of waves of people turning up. So the thing with Lingfield is
Yeah,
they get a lot of buses, mini buses coming in, big buses, trains come in. And obviously when a train comes in, you could have 500,
that's
1,000
your
people
footfall.
on that train. So suddenly you get mobbed. with people
Yeah.
in waves of trains
Yeah.
coming in, which might be once an hour, say, at Lingfield on that line. And what happens is, he said, the first thing everyone does is get a drink
Straight to the bar.
straight to the bar. So he said you have these pinch points whenever big loads of transport come in, and then that creates moments where the bars are really full.
Yeah.
So it's not a uncommon problem to have when you're running these events. I mean, I think we had the pinch point after that. It was quite quiet for the first couple of hours because the rain came down typically as we opened the bloody doors. As soon as that rain stopped about 2, that was when the biggest influx was people came in between sort of 2 and 4.
Yeah.
And that's when we saw the bar really, and that's what people want to do. They want to turn up and they want to get a few drinks down and get loose and start enjoying
Yeah.
the party. But interestingly, one of the things he did say over there was that they work on a sales point basis per person, which I'd imagine is quite standard across the industry. But he
What does
said,
that mean?
so basically, for every 100 people, bar wise, they have one sales point. So one person on a till serving alcohol.
Right. Okay.
So he said for 1,000 people, which is what we obviously had at Titsy, he would have had 10 sales points. We had 4.
Yeah. Oh, blimey. Yeah, of course.
So that sort of shows you where that issue came from. And obviously you have the influxes and the waves of people, which adds to that. So when you're under numbers on sales points anyway, and then you add in the chaos of people coming in waves, especially with the way the rain sat on that festival, it's quite easy to see where that issue came from. I can't remember if we spoke about it last time, but we were very fortunate that we had the stage 2 in the marquee. We
Yeah.
shut the music down for a little while in there, set a table up, and we basically created a bottle bar, which my sister and her husband,
With some helpful family members. Yeah.
and my cousin and his wife basically jumped on, started setting bottles straight from there with a card machine. I think you and me might have been the ones going up and down the queue saying, look, if you want bottles,
Yeah.
pop in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Totally.
it just eased that pressure and eased people coming at us because they was taking too long to get drinks. So, but ultimately, that really was our only stress of the day in
I
terms of,
think so. Apart from the weather.
apart from
Apart
the
from the
weather,
weather.
but that by 2:30 that had cleared up, and we actually had a beautiful evening, didn't we?
It was really nice. Yeah, I think I said it when Carly was doing like a sunset set, which is perfect, and it was starting to fill up nicely. The sun was coming down. I thought, "Oh, this
That
is
was a
it.
dream.
This is it." That feeling.
One issue we did have, which not many people no one will really know about apart from the few people trying, was obviously mine and Greg's partners were on the door doing ticket scanning
Oh
and
yeah, it was a
ticket
nightmare,
sales.
wasn't it?
And
Bless him.
one of the things that I didn't do, and this was something I had to address with security on the day, was we didn't have a last entry time. Now, security off their own back decided that they were going to stop people coming in after 8 o'clock. Now, obviously, we'd sold out tickets, but the way it works, and this is quite an interesting thing to think about if people were putting on their own events, is you can be sold out to your official number, but you can still sell tickets on the door because what you have is you have fluctuations of people. So
Yeah. Not everyone's going to be at the same time, are they?
not everyone's going to be there at the same time. You've got the fact of if you sell 1,000 tickets to 1,000 cap event, you're never, ever at any point going to have 1,000 people on site. I think we peaked at about just under 900 last year in terms of people actually on site. So what that does is, although you can have an official sellout number, and for 1,000 cap event, typically you probably sell about 1,100 tickets. That's the way I would do it. Sell about 1,100 tickets with the view.
Is that legal though? Are you allowed to? Is like? I'm just checking. Is it with
To be
licensing?
perfectly honest,
It's
I don't.
it's about the people on the. All right.
I don't know the legality of it, but what you've
Well, I
always
think it's about the people in the venue is the legal bit,
the,
isn't
the
it? It's like how
people
many
in the
tickets
venue
sell.
is the legal bit. So as long as you're tracking numbers on the door and you never go over a certain number, then
Yeah.
that is where your pinch point is. That's your legal side of things. If we let 1,050 people through that door and they're on site and something bad happens, there's a crowd issue, crowd crushing, or there's a massive fight, and we suddenly get the police involved, and then we've got to write a report on that, and they say, look, where's your tracking numbers, which we have to track, and there's 1,050 people on site at a 1,000 cap event, then we're in big trouble.
So yeah, so it is legal, and it's sort of good practice, but not. You're right. Go 10% above, not
When you
massively oversell, because what you're doing when someone buys a ticket, that's a contract with you to provide a service to them. And if you double the amount they can't get in, you're broken that contract.
we're
and
in
that is illegal.
we're in
If
big
it's-
troubles. But
Yeah,
statistics over time will tell you that you probably get realistically a 20% drop off rate, 15 to 20% drop off rate in people turning up who might, even if it's 10% of people that don't turn up, where they bought a ticket months in advance, or their mates have bought an extra ticket and they can't turn up. blah. Or and then what you've also got the factor of, especially somewhere like that, Titsy Brewery does a whole range of things from yoga classes to painting to this, that, and the other. You've got the element of people see an event, they like Titsy as a venue. It's a very calm, have your food, have a beer in the sun, nice views, come and do your yoga. People will see Titsy tied to an event. So they're like, oh, we'll give that a go. It's at a festival at Titsy. It could be great. There it might be expecting some of the usual Sunday acoustic nonsense, which we do not provide. So you do get a handful of people who will turn up and will go, oh, I wasn't expecting this boom boom
This
music.
isn't my cup of tea. Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't quite what I was what we were looking for. So they'll come in and they'll naturally will leave. It's inevitable. You'll get people who turn up maybe expecting the music and think, oh, it's just not quite my vibe. You'll also get people who buy a ticket with a plan to come. Oh, we can't come all day, but we'll come 12 till 5 and make an afternoon of it. You're going to get a handful of people do that. You're going to get people that go, we can't make the day, but we'll go 5 till close. So you're going to
Yeah.
get so there's waves. The way that you don't sell 1,000 tickets and at 2 o'clock 1,000 people are in the door and they're all staying there till 10:30. Just doesn't work like that.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. That's
So
good.
what that also does as well is you can also factor in the fact that if at 3 o'clock 30 people have left, which is we never want, but realistically it happens, is you where people are on the door. Okay, let's sell some more tickets.
Yeah.
If people turn up and want a ticket and want to pay the on the door price, in you come. We've
Yeah.
got room as long as from a safety perspective, they are respectable and security are happy to let them in, and we've got the facility to take their money. Then absolutely come in.
So how did you manage it with security and all that? Because I think that's something people have got really taken consideration because you've got the security, first aid,
So one of the
fire, all
things
that type of
with
stuff.
they were quite stringent security. They were quite good level, but which we wanted from a point of view of keeping everyone safe. You've got to get that
Yeah.
balance right. My point, their point to us, which was fair, was we don't want people coming in drunk from other spaces, causing any problems at this time of night. My view was, look, we need to take it. Obviously, from our point of view, we're not making loads of money. We were just covering costs pretty much on year one. So, well, if 20 people want to come in, they're respectable. There's no issues with things like drugs or weapons, and they just want to come in, pay their money, and have a nice time. Whether they're coming in at 2 p.m. or they're coming in at 9:30 for the last hour, I'm absolutely fine with that. And unless there was any major security issue around that, I wanted that to continue because at the end of the day, people want to pay the money and they want to come in, and we've got the space. In you come.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
know.
it might be worth explaining that on Titsy setup, there's a brewery on site, and they got a lovely little sort of like bar area as well. So people pop in there for a drink, might not know it was going on, heard the music, and then wanted to come across.
Yeah, so Titsy
And
being
then
the
we had
go on, sorry, go on.
Yeah, go on. I was just saying also during the day, it caused a few challenges with people leaving the site, going to that because of the bar challenges, having a couple of beers in and coming back. And that's when we had a bit of tension's a wrong word, but we were trying to manage it with the security team, weren't we?
Yeah, and I think we didn't foresee that well enough. And that's probably something, if we were back at Titsy this year, that's something that we probably that would have been another meeting to go, okay, let's see how we address that this year. From my point of view, again, exactly the same. What I would probably do if we were there again is I would have put just one security guard perhaps at the Titsy Brewery just to manage that side of things, which we didn't have this year. And
Yeah.
from my point of view, as long as people are for exactly the same view, as long as they're not really, really pissed, acting up, they're respectful, there's no issues of weapons, drugs, things like that. And if they want to go out and get a couple of beers, my view was if they want to go out to the brewery, have a couple of beers, come back and come back in, that's absolutely fine with me. I don't want to be too like, well, you're not, if you're going out, you're not coming back in. And again, I think some festivals you have to be like that because there is a real issue at certain festivals with things like drugs and people. And there was a couple of people that went out and were clearly caught going to their car to pick up drugs to try and get back into the festival and were very far from subtle about it, and they just weren't let back in. That's
Well,
something,
that's right. And rightly so. Yeah.
and that's something that we have to manage. But there was also a lot of people who were very respectable who were popping out. The bar was really busy. Okay, we're going to pop along, get some food at the brewery, and we're going to have a beer, and then we're going to come back into the festival when the bars have quieted down a bit. And part of that was because of the reason that the bars weren't running efficiently enough on the festival site.
So I think that is really good about being flexible on the day and in good communication with the security staff. I
Yeah.
think because if they can, those people do events in East London and the context of Oxted and Titsy Brewery is very different. So I think it's understanding the local context is really important, and then be a bit
Yeah.
flexible around it.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that's quite
Everything's, I
helpful.
mean, you see it in your job, and I saw it a lot in the building industry. Everything's about evaluating risk
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
where
totally.
does that risk sit on the scale? Like you say, if you're at an event in East London that's perhaps got a lot higher crime rates, or there's more drug rates around that area, things like guns or knives could be a big issue. Then you've got to be really, really careful in terms of, there could be someone in that venue, you had an argument with someone, goes out, grabs a knife or a gun, comes back in and causes absolute carnage. Quite often you can negate that by saying no re-entry. Once you're in, if you go out, you're not coming back in. And again, because if that risk is high in a certain area, that's a really easy way to go, okay, we've got this really high risk of weapons. If you go out, you don't come back in, and people go, well, I don't want to miss the festival, so I'm not
Yeah,
going to leave. Or if I want to go out and grab a weapon and come back in for any reason, then they're not going to let me in. So it's a pointless exercise.
yeah. It's worth pointing out though that even in East London, that is very rare that stuff like that,
Yeah, absolutely, of
like
course. But
that happens.
yeah, but that's part of evaluating risk, isn't it? Of
Of course it is. Yeah,
rates are in certain areas, and where you are. If you're in built up areas, it's easier to go out and do certain things that you might not be able to, shouldn't be doing, and then come back into an event. Where we were on the top of a hill in the middle of nowhere, apart from, like say, grabbing a pint of ale and a pie up at the local brewery 2 minutes
yeah,
away, there's a very low element that risk is a lot lower than in built up areas.
yeah.
And we saw that a lot
So
in Oxted, actually. So jumping back to Oxted Festival,
look on, look on.
because that was in the centre of the town, what we would get a lot of is groups will either, because I might have done that slightly differently with the re-entry policy at Oxted, but they had the policy of, once you had your wristband, you could come and go as you please. And what a lot of people would do, Weatherspoons, 5 minutes walk from the site. Obviously, festival prices have got to be at a certain level to
Yeah,
generate.
that's a different risk, isn't it?
And so what a lot of people would do, especially younger groups, would go out to Weatherspoons, drink for a few hours because it's probably half the price, and then come back in, lose some ready to dance, and not spend a lot in the festival. So you're getting the ticket money from these people, but actually the bar spend and food spend is a lot lower than if you're out in
Mm.
the middle of nowhere and you've got a very limited, there's nowhere to go. You've got to be, if you want to eat and you want to drink, you've got to spend some time in that space.
You also can't control how much people are drinking as well, and if they're going to kick off or not.
Yeah, exactly. It's very I mean, obviously, some people, it's really easy to see where they are if they're not compos mentis, but if people can hold it well, there's no reason visually when they're trying to get in to not let them in. Then that can become another issue later on, because
Yeah,
the bar staff haven't watched them buy 20 shots and neck them all and then 10 pints, and then suddenly they're causing absolute chaos, which is obviously much more manageable when your own team are serving the alcohol.
yeah. Cool. Right. So, and then, so the festival's, I would say, great success. Everyone had an amazing time. What happened with Titsy Brewery? How come we're at Lingfield now? What was that journey like?
So Titsy Brewery last year, it was a bit of a trial year for them. So they trialled two of their own festivals, one in May, one in September, which included just one day events. And we spoke a bit about that in terms of the bar issue, and how that translated from local band scene to dance music. They went reasonably well for them. Looked very similar in setup to what we did, but they were more band-based stuff. Now, because they put three successful events on, including ours last year, what they want to do this year is they've actually applied for a bigger license to host bigger versions of what they did, which is Titsy Fest. So that has been increased this year to two-day events in May and September. And what they've also done is started booking DJs in for that, for them, the Fridays of them weekends anyway. So what they didn't want to do was, because they're trying to build their own thing as part. I don't think it's completely tied to the brewery. It's quite a complex thing over there in terms of, there's a Titsy events company and there's the brewery, which is
Yeah,
run. They're slightly separate entities, but it's part of Titsy.
yeah,
So basically, what we do would have detracted from what they're trying to do with their Titsy Fest. So unfortunately, that wasn't an option this year to stay where we were. So it was a case of trying to find a new home, which I think we went into last time. I had some meetings and obviously knew about Lingfield. So we've ended up at Lingfield Park this year, which is very, very exciting.
it is.
It's a wonderful venue. We spoke in the later Oxted days. They were very keen to bring this sort of festival to Lingfield Park. We weren't ready at the time, I don't think, to take that on. It was too big a jump. But I think with the last year at Oxted and running our own thing last year, now with that support network of alongside Lingfield. It's going to be very exciting. Very exciting.
It's going to be good. So what's been going on with the festival in the last couple of weeks since
So in the
we
last
chatted?
couple of weeks, had a good meeting there last week, which was really, really good with the team. Ticket sales are trickling along nicely for this stage. You always have that initial bump. First weekend, we've announced the festival, so that bump's gone, and now we just start trickling again at this point. Now what we're working towards is our lineup announcement. That's our next sort of big thing, and we're hoping to get that out within the next week or so, because the closer we can tie these announcements to payday weekends, the better, as that is obviously when people are more frugal with their money.
Yes.
You drop an announcement 3 weeks into the month and everyone's skint and or very cautious of spending money.
And then they forget about it.
And they forget about it. And it's just, from my point of view, our marketing tactic is to try and make any big announcements or any big changes, especially lineup, because lineup's quite a big reach, and it's only going to be a phase one lineup for now. So I'm really trying to we've got 2 wicked headliners already signed up. We're close to a third, is what I'll say at this stage. And if we can get that third one, and we've got our first wave of support acts books as well, then we will hopefully be launching that in the next week. What that then does is that web, obviously at the moment we've got our inner circle and us doing social media, and we obviously strap ads to things and promote it the best way we can and hit local groups. And we've dropped a load of flyers, first wave of flyers up to Lingfield. But suddenly that web gets wider with the artist announcements. And we try and just hit these things in phases. Obviously, you could go straight away. We're doing a festival. And here's the lineup. And here's the stage splits. All in one go. The more moments that we can create around in the lead up, the better, effectively. The next big moment will be the lineup drop, which we are really excited to start getting out. I think we've got a really nice, if we can get the last headliner signed up, I think we've got a really nice balance of 3 good headliners, and we've got some really great support and local talent involved. And we will also be, which I'm going to announce in next week's podcast, we will also be running a DJ competition, which will be really exciting. That's basically, we did a post last week, just reaching out to see if there's any DJs that want to come and play our festival. We've had about over 1,000 applications. That's a lot of people.
That is great.
Which is wonderful.
That is great. It is great, because there is a lot of talent out there. So
there's a lot of talent out there, and sometimes it's hard to find it. Sometimes they're not necessarily where you'd expect, or we just don't. There's good local people around that we're not aware of. So that's a really good way of helping us find that local talent and get involved in what we're doing. Because although we've got a great network, it's always nice to find new DJs and new people to get involved with.
Totally.
Couple of other things we've been up to. So we've planned a content day, which I'm very excited about, which will be April. We're going to take in the camera crew down to site. We're going to get a load of the artists down. We're going to do some live filming of sets from site. We're going to do some interviews. We're going to do some funny content. We've even got some of the Lingfield staff to get involved in some of the content, which will be really good fun. And we're going to go for a big curry afterwards, which is even better fun.
So I think we need to get a sponsor from that curry house. What's the curry house called there? Because it is bloody good. It was.
We'll
really
have a chat with them, shall we? So Curry House, we want you to sponsor us.
Curry House Lingfield. Which one? There's 2 in there, you see.
Yeah, there's the one. We'll work out which one it is. Listen to our podcast. We'll put your name in here.
Is it Tirana?
I think it is Tirana.
It's a Tirana. It's very nice.
I think that's a great shout. Nice. And give us a few free curries. Everyone's a winner. We'll shout them out from the rooftops.
Do you think we got enough time to talk about your bits and your journey? Or I think we need a longer time on that, because I think it'd be really interesting to discuss that.
I think maybe we start with that next time, because life's a bit chaotic for me at the moment, because my youngest son, unfortunately, is in hospital at the moment. He's suffering with ulcerative colitis, which is in the family of Crohn's disease, and the bowel disease illnesses. So unfortunately, he's currently in Brighton Hospital, which is creating its own challenges in terms of balancing work and life. I'm spending quite a chunk of time down there. So that's been difficult, and that's actually why we're trying to wedge this podcast filming in this week, which, as our time has been shorter than expected. But so I think we'll go into that, because I actually suffer from the same illness, which I've been battling now for 8 years. Very calm now, very settled. But that was one of the reasons that I decided to get into this mad industry of music. So I think we'll go into that story a bit more next time, which will be really exciting. Not exciting,
Yes,
maybe it will be exciting, but I think
no, well, it'll be interesting because
I've
I think,
I've never spoken about it before publicly. You won't go through my Instagram and see anything about it, but actually, I think with where my son's at now, it's quite an important point to raise it and talk about that journey and that part of my life because it's true, it's me, and I think what we're doing here is being really open, honest about the festival and the behind the scenes stuff and what we do and what makes us tick, and people are getting to know us better, and that's a massive part of
yeah,
my life, and now it's a massive part of my son's life and juggling that illness
yeah.
and doing what we do. So I think it's right that stop lying to everyone, Luke.
You're not lying.
No,
You
you know
bloody
what
hell,
I
you're not
mean.
lying. But I think it is interesting
Uh,
to talk about it and then just talk about it because people think getting into the industry, everyone's all perfect and everything's all shine on Instagram. But we all have one of our challenges, and it is really
Everyone's got
hard.
their
And
own little battles, whether that be physical, mental, and so
yeah,
that's something that I definitely will be talking about more next week.
let's do that. Let's kick off. Let's kick off for that next week then. And then I hope he's all right, mate, because I know it is. Because I've got a son who has a disability as well, and it is it's hard work, mate.
Yeah.
It really is.
Something else exciting that from in terms of Lingfield Festival this year, which is not necessarily linked to Lingfield, but something that we've spoke about before. We obviously got some lovely T-shirts made last year, didn't we?
We
For our
did.
festival, which you'll see if you look at our promo video. I'm wearing last year's T-shirt in the video, but a lot of people said to me last year, "Where can I get one?" We
Yep.
really love the T-shirts. Now we would love actually to get some merch going because actually the branding we feel is we love it obviously because it's ours, but we are very keen to launch a range that's available to the public of our own branded merch, maybe just T-shirts, hoodies, some hats, things like that. Nothing too jazzy, but I've actually set up a couple of meetings with some really cool clothing brands over the next week to talk about doing some collab stuff. I think that sort of collaboration vibe is really, really strong at the moment when brands collaborate on things. Obviously,
Yep.
very easily we can go to last year I bought T-shirts, which I know I quite like and fit me quite very plain T-shirts, and got the logo printed at the local printing shop. But what we're seeing more and more of nowadays, which is really exciting, is a lot more brand collaborations. So what we're actually looking to do is collaborate with a clothing brand that we think is really cool. And I've got a couple of great options, which I obviously will talk about more as they develop. They'll help us design the clothing brands. There'll be a collaboration project. We can obviously collaborate on stuff on social media. They can come to the festival site, sell our merch, sell their own products. And it creates a bit of an ecosystem of, I mean, they're the experts at what they do, right? And if we like their product and like what they do and
Yeah, totally.
like what they do as a brand, that opens up what a bit wider to just me going, we bought 50 T-shirts and printed our logo on it, buy them. I think that's a
Yeah.
more exciting. And we can obviously help
I've got
them.
old mates of mine that have done that. So if you look at in the music, for my promo shots, actually, I've got their T-shirts on.
Oh, cool.
It's Matt and Dave. They're brilliant, but yeah, I mean, they're not local to us.
Yeah.
They're in Cardiff, and they're amazing. And Matt is an amazing designer, and Dave is one of the best DJs. He used to run Cool House, which is an
Okay.
amazing brand. Yeah, their stuff is brilliant. So they've done exactly that. They just knew the industry, wanted to get back into
Yeah.
it just before COVID. Matt's a designer. Dave has the great contacts, and they've got everyone wearing their
Yeah.
T-shirts. I've been wearing them. They're really, really cool.
Oh, brilliant.
But they do loads of different collabs with local Cardiff brands,
Oh, cool.
like
Maybe they're
Shangri-La
ones to
and
talk
places
to.
like that.
It
So
could be someone
oh,
to have a
maybe,
chat with.
but I think if we've got, they are brilliant and amazing, lovely, lovely people.
Yep.
But if we can support, because they're Cardiff based, if we
Yep.
can support local, I think that's really good for everyone, isn't it?
We're also talking about collaborations with festival. We're also talking to a couple of really cool brands, local. I say local, not local, but they're within the net of the festival to actually come and do stage hosting as well. We've got a few different meetings set up and a few brands. And again, this will all come over time. But I think that collaboration side of things is really, really key at the moment. And if you've got a connection with people and they're doing cool stuff, so I think it's really important to work with people and get your heads in a room with people. There's been both the main ones that I'm hopefully getting on board. They're both doing really cool stuff, but sort of slightly different ends of the spectrum in terms of their target market and what they do musically and their area and the demographic. So I think but they're doing it really, really, really well. And I think that would be
Yeah.
a really cool to explore, and which we are exploring at the moment, how they get involved with the festival, how their particular areas look, and how it sits in with what we're doing, how we can do some really cool content, how we can promote it, And it's just expanding. For us, it's expanding that market as opposed to last year, obviously, one stage, one field, elemental, let's go. I think this year it's really about trying to work with people that we think are great and think are cool and have got good ideas. And similarly to
Yeah.
us, potentially like trying to expand their reach and trying to do stuff but do it in the right way. Just nice people. We've always said this. It's
Yes.
one of our biggest things is just working with nice people, whether that be DJs, producers, venues, collaborations with brands, clothing companies. If they're nice people and
Yeah.
we've got good ideas between us, then let's work together. If anyone listening's got any ideas or anything cool, our email is in my main email is on the Elemental page Instagram page at We Are Elemental. Drop us an email. Tell us what you got, what you're doing. We are very open to collaborations across anything, really. You've got a cool idea. You think if you want to put a stall up at the festival and help us with sponsorship and bits like that, or if you just want to sponsor us, give us a shout, drop us an email, drop us a DM. We will reply. We are very receptive to that sort of thing. So it'd be really good to
Indeed.
touch base with us and see how we get on.
Cool. Well, I need to shoot now, Dean. Sorry, buddy.
No worries at all. Thank you very much, Lukey. It's been an
Cool.
absolute pleasure.
You too. So, look, next week we'll cover your personal journey. I think it'd be good, and talk about the collaborative stuff in more detail, because I think that's how we. Yes, it's about how you grow, but it's exciting working with different people with different perspectives.
Absolutely. It's been a bit
really
tricky this week because we've got a lot of stuff that we've been working on that's nearly there. Different collaboration, different ideas, and we're at that stage, obviously, of planning. But over the next few weeks, we should start getting some stuff signed off and cross the I's and dot the T's and all that nonsense, and be able to talk a bit more about these collaborations and what we're planning and why we're doing it and what they're going to bring to the festival. So, all good.
Cool. Thanks,
Thank
mate.
you, Lukey. Lots of love.
Cheers, bye.
Ta-ta!